Hey everyone. So, like I mentioned before, we're going to have another look at a Van der Weyden painting today. This one is called the Columba Alter, and like the one that we looked at before, the Middelburg Altar, it consists of 3 panels, 2 side panels, and a centerpiece. Today we're going to focus on the centerpiece. We have again Mary right here in the middle in this gorgeous blue gown. We have the baby Jesus on her lap. We have Joseph on the side again in red, like last time. The donor this time's been moved a little further back. He is placed behind this little stone wall. And on the other side we have the adoration of the Magi. So 1, 2, 3. And then here in the background we have a whole lot of people coming to visit the Christ child too. We have a donkey with 2 fluffy long ears and a bull with 2 cute horns. Again, we are placed in a stable that looks a little like a ruin. You can see there are holes in the wall here. And the roof is coming apart. There's already a little tree coming out of it. And then either the sun or maybe the star that led the Magi here is right here behind the wall. Like last time, we have the Romanesque round windows. But in the background we have a, for the time, contemporary Gothic architecture, as was customary during the time of Van der Weyden. Overall, there are so many impressive details here that it's hard to really look at all of them. Just the patterns here on the fabric of the Magi is just absolutely amazing. But I think that's probably something you have to say when you stand right in front of the painting. So let's just mention it, but let's not spend too much time on that part. Something I would like to talk about though is the faces. So one thing I mentioned last time when we looked at the other Nativity scene is that the art of painting developed quite fast during that time. We are here in the Northern Renaissance and not too far away from the international Gothic style and medieval paintings. What we have in Van der Weyden's paintings is an incredible attention to detail. If we look at the faces and hairstyles of the men that are present here, between Joseph and the 3 Magi, we can see that they all clearly are individuals. do not resemble one another. The hair alone is, I think, really impressive in that it's both different in color, in texture, in the way that it's cut or grows. So all of them are different people, and the same one is true for the spectators here in the back. We can also see an amazing attention to detail if we look at the background. Like last time, we have a little path that leads from the donor back to the city and up into the city, which then doesn't end here but continues all the way across and into the distance. Even here we can see two little towers and a house. Some windows here. And that is, in the 15th century, really quite spectacular. And I just want to have a look at an older nativity scene with you to show you the difference. So here we have a nativity scene from the Master of Hohenfurth. I think there's a different name in English. In Germany it would be called Maestà von Hohenfurth. This is from about 1350, so roughly 100 years earlier, and he was active in Bohemia and Austria. Again, we can see the Virgin Mary at the center, holding the baby Jesus close. However, rather than sitting upright, here she's reclining, which is more typical for Eastern arts, for Byzantine representations of the Godmother. We can see the donor here on the side. We have a shepherd with his sheep and goats. We have an angel up here on top, and the animals of the stable. And while this scene resembles the nativity scene of Van der Weyden, we can see that this does not take place in the real world the way Van der Weyden's did. While we do have some kind of perspective, we can see that we're getting into the background here. The whole thing seems a lot flatter. The individuals are not placed in the same dimension as they are in Van der Weyden's painting. We have some perspective here with the roof, but it's not quite accurate, and there is no background per se. We have some flowers here in the meadow, but there's no sky, there's no city in the distance, no mountains. We have the cold background of medieval paintings. But at the time, this again was already a development further away from a previous style. If we jump south across the Alps to Italy, we have here a Madonna, the Ognissanti Madonna by Giotto di Bondone. This is from probably sometime around 1300. And it's not a nativity scene per se, but again, we have the Madonna in the center, holding the Christ child. We have saints here on the side, in adoration, and angels on either side of the throne. If we look closely at the faces, we can see that, yes, there are differences in expression and hairstyles, in the way they look. But these are not individuals the way they are in van der Weyden's painting. There's no background at all. Of course, here the Madonna is placed on a throne and not in a stable. But the throne itself is placed in a space that is not necessarily a room, the way we understand a room. There's no physicality in that sense to that room. It's in some way it's abstract. You just have this gold background and a very detailed throne. But again, this was already the development of the early Renaissance. And if we go a little earlier, that physicality of the Madonna changes. Here we have Cimabue, again a Madonna on a throne. We have the saints or prophets here on the bottom and angels on either side of the throne. And we can see that this seems even more abstract than the previous one. So we're here very close to medieval paintings. Cimabue and Giotto basically were Western paintings started to divert from what you would call medieval or Byzantine paintings. And we often think, or when we look at these paintings, we often think that they didn't know how to do perspective. They didn't know how to paint faces. They just, they lacked the skills. They couldn't do it. But paintings at the time were not meant to show the real world as we see it. There was a different point to these paintings. These are closer to icons, as they're used in the Orthodox Church. Their point is the adoration of the saints, of the Virgin Mary. And the saints of the Virgin Mary are not part of our world. The painters did not need to depict our world because they're showing something that is beyond us, sort of beyond what our mortal eyes can see. This golden background here, all around, is an eternal light that we get to, at least in glimpses, perceive. We get to see and adore. We get to be in the presence of something holy by looking at these paintings. So we're not trying to see our world. We're not trying to see ourselves here. We look beyond. And I think that's actually a really, really gorgeous way to look at paintings. And personally, I really, really like these medieval or early Renaissance depictions. I think often it's just a matter of finding the right way to approach them. And then there's something really wonderful. All right. let's leave it at that. And I hope I get to see you again